This summer, we are going to see the first XRP ETFs go live in the United States, but there's something very special with how they're being launched that I believe could allow them to make XRP flip Ethereum in market cap. In this video, I want to talk about what exactly is so special about the XRP ETF that I believe might actually allow it to flip Ethereum in market cap and make it the biggest cryptocurrency in the world outside of Bitcoin. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. Thank you to everyone who takes the time to like these videos and subscribe to the channel. These two simple things really do help me out so much. Also, if you ever need a place to buy some XRP, make sure to check out my favorite exchange uphold down in the description of this video. With that said, let's jump right into it. I hope you guys enjoy the content. Right now, XRP is already pushing up on Ethereum and on the verge of passing Ethereum in market cap. Now, the funny thing is back before the entire Ripple SEC case started, XRP had already flipped Ethereum in market cap. Essentially, as soon as Ripple was sued by the SEC, a lot of people, especially big investment firms, sold XRP and bought Ethereum because clearly they didn't want to get all wrapped up in the Ripple SEC case, and we all know how that story went. But ever since the case ended, what we have seen is a flight of capital back to XRP and specifically out of Ethereum. Now, the reason why this is so significant is because XRP has obviously always had better technology than something like Ethereum. And what we're seeing is obviously a lot of the utility that cryptocurrencies are going to bring to the world is coming to the XRP ledger rather than Ethereum. Ethereum has some huge problems in front of it. We all know about the high gas fees, but there's other big issues there as well. One of the biggest issues that people don't talk about is liquid staking. Liquid staking is allowing people to essentially produce an infinite loop of Ethereum, where essentially if that Ethereum gets lost anywhere in the process through something like slashing, or they take the Ethereum, invest it in something else, and that goes to zero, you essentially have to unwind a whole chain of liquid staking events that could cause serious repercussions for the network. The smart contracts on Ethereum have really created some issues, because they provided so much flexibility that people built crazy things, but some of the things they're building are not only congesting and slowing down the network, but also essentially creating something that could lead to a digital financial crisis. Now, because of all these things, we've obviously seen that flight of capital back to XRP. But from my own experience, I do know of one cohort who is still heavily sticking to Ethereum. And I think these XRP ETFs could really change that. Some of the people who are really controlling a lot of the big flows into the cryptocurrency industry that not a lot of people truly understand is the investment firms, the hedge funds, the people who have hundreds of billions to invest into these asset classes, but to be honest, really don't understand them. They understand Bitcoin because it's the biggest thing that they can go out and buy, and they just look at Bitcoin as something that's safe and protected. But when it comes to their clients coming to them and asking for more cryptocurrency exposure, this is really where they fall short. I've had the privilege to talk with a lot of these people and learn how they evaluate the cryptocurrency market. And I'm telling you, it is far less complex than many people understand. Most of the time, they recommend that a client gets a large allocation of Bitcoin, maybe 80% of what their cryptocurrency portfolio is going to be. And then when it comes to the next choice, they're simply picking the second thing. Now, most of these investment firms don't have access to something like XRP because they're not going to take client capital and go invest it on Coinbase. Because of this, they literally are just buying Bitcoin and then Ethereum. Now, this is how they're making those decisions right now. It has nothing to do with the actual utility. It just goes to, hey, what are the biggest two things? Now, for a while, XRP has purposely been held back via things like the Ripple SEC case, and also XRP not being on a lot of these traditional brokerages where these investment decisions are made. But there's something very big going to be happening this summer, and that's, of course, the XRP ETFs going live. Now, right now, a lot of the financial institutions are already in hot water on putting clients in Ethereum. And that's because, as we all know, over the past couple months, XRP has severely outperformed something like Ethereum. And a lot of people are sitting there asking the question, why am I even in Ethereum, right? The performance hasn't been great. These people don't actually understand the technology enough to have any kind of firm investment thesis behind it. They essentially had an advisor put them in Ethereum because it was the second biggest thing. And for a lot of people, that's not adding up, especially when you have something like XRP, as we can see right here, outperforming Ethereum for the past 6 months. Now, this is one of the most important parts. When people don't actually understand the technology, right? And they just want to be invested in what's performing the best, they don't actually care whether they're in XRP or Ethereum. And a lot of the decisions being talked about on the back end right now are saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't be in Ethereum, maybe we should be in XRP. And the reason they're making that decision is purely because XRP has been outperforming Ethereum over the past 6 months. Now, us who have been allocated to XRP for a while, right? We always had a thesis that this would happen because XRP is the better technology and has better real-world use cases that will ultimately lead to mass adoption. But some of the biggest money in the world is not making decisions like that. They are simply saying, hey, what's going up now? We want to be a part of this. Now, they're still having a hard time actually making people a part of it because there aren't those XRP ETFs. But what we're seeing right now, and I think it's for good reason, is the XRP ETFs are dominating the ETF applications coming in. There's about 10 to 12 XRP ETFs already filed, and those are spot XRP ETFs. Essentially, people are just buying XRP, and JP Morgan is predicting this will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $8 to $10 billion. No other altcoin is really getting that much action. Even Solana only has 4 to 5. So what that tells me is a lot of these big investment firms are sitting there scratching their head saying, hey, well, maybe we have clients in the wrong asset here, and maybe we should be allocating them to XRP instead. Now, there's something else very important happening here as well, and that's that there are a lot of reports coming out right now that the XRP ETFs are slated to go live prior to many other altcoin ETFs. Let me tell you why this is such a big deal. Like I already stated, a lot of these investment firms don't have any firm thesis to how they're picking the underlying cryptocurrency asset they're invested in. They're kind of just saying, all right, well, this one's available and this one's available, therefore this is what you're going to get. And right now, pretty much nothing is available outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. But if there's a third choice available, right, and that third choice is XRP, and XRP has outperformed Ethereum every single month for the last 6 months, a lot of people are going to say, hey, let's just dump the Ethereum position and let's go put that in XRP. You're going to start seeing this happen this summer, where people are saying, hey, Ethereum has all these issues. Anyone who knows anything about these different technologies is going to see the obvious technical issues with Ethereum. But then even the people who don't really understand that are simply going to see the price performance and say, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't be in Ethereum. Maybe we should be in XRP. And where that gets really exciting is when XRP actually flips Ethereum. If XRP was to actually flip Ethereum, the decision would be even easier, because then all the essentially weighted ETFs where people are automatically weighted to the top 2 cryptocurrencies, those would have to be flipped, and people would have to move positions programmatically from Ethereum to XRP. Then when all those investment managers go out there and they start talking about which cryptocurrency someone should be allocated to, the first decision is going to be, hey, we're either going to allocate you to Bitcoin or XRP. Those are the top 2 in the space. So essentially that bad technology that Ethereum is built on is really catching up to it now in terms of price performance. And the reason for that is actually very simple. People are starting to understand that with the Ripple SEC case gone, there's no more realistic barriers for XRP, and there's no reason why it should be trading below Ethereum. This is what a lot of the investment community is just starting to wake up to. And it was a long time before this happened, and people in the XRP community were just stuck asking the question, how are these people not seeing this? Well, it's actually pretty simple. We just understand this asset class far better than a lot of these big money managers. They discounted the entire cryptocurrency space for the past 8 to 10 years. And now they're just starting to wake up to what these things are going to be used for and the real difference between them. So when these XRP ETFs go live, we are going to see people likely saying, hey, I want to own this thing. This is what the financial institutions are using. This is where the price performance has been. This thing obviously has a ton of advantages over Ethereum in terms of technology. Let's allocate here. And I think this is the thing that will likely cause XRP to flip Ethereum. If we take a look at the XRP to Ethereum price chart, we can already see that XRP is making huge gains against Ethereum. And it just so happens that it always was until, well, what do you know? The Ripple SEC case when that was launched in 2018. That was the real thing that had held XRP back the entire time. So the government created an artificial construct over XRP to slow it down, to ruin the price performance, to get more people into Ethereum and hold them back from purchasing XRP. It really doesn't get more simple than that. This chart says it perfectly. XRP was always outperforming Ethereum. The government launches a lawsuit against XRP. It goes down to these basement bottom levels. And now as soon as it's over, it starts skyrocketing against it again. To me, what we are going to see is these XRP ETFs go live prior to any other financial institution launching any other altcoin ETF. And then the decision is too obvious for these financial institutions to not start allocating billions of dollars into XRP. I want to finish this video off and share with you one last thing. The last huge XRP price movement we had was back in November, and essentially we saw a couple tens to hundreds of millions of dollars flowing into XRP, and that caused the price to go up 600%. We're not talking about tens to 50 millions anymore. We're talking about $5 to $10 billion coming in. What this could do for the price would flip Ethereum overnight. And XRP would be the #2 cryptocurrency in the market, and it would completely change everyone's thinking when it comes to which cryptocurrency they are going to be allocated to. Guys, I think this is a lot sooner than many people think. I think these XRP ETFs are going to go live in the summer, and everyone is going to be looking at their investment advisor, investment manager, hedge fund manager, and saying, hey, why are we in this thing that is consistently underperforming and has all these technical issues that are yet to be solved? This is going to be the thing that completely flips the market on its head, and everyone's going to be looking at XRP in a completely different light. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update, and for now, Mickle out.